was a little girl with a little curl. We'll just... Alrighty, so I had me a little break and a little snack, and that has raised my blood sugar a little bit, and it made it so I could keep working for a bit longer. I went into my scrap bin, which I believe I will have to start calling my cabbage patch. And I found some of this material. Okay, so what I did is I cut these pieces out, but I added an extra 3/4 of an inch to face it, so that I can put the grommets in there, or the eyelets in there, and it'll add a little bit of extra strength because I'm going to do the inside lining with this flannel because it's soft and will feel better against my hand. And I also don't have enough of this to do on both sides anyway. And I thought this would be kind of cute for the inside. I also cut out nice cloth fusible interfacing. Now I've got the wrong sides facing together. I was going to do seams and turn it down, but I think I'm gonna actually just bind it afterwards. It's going to depend if I can make enough of this, because I only have this little bit left. And I want to make the casings for the boning with it. So I'm going to need enough to do that. But I'm thinking if I cut it apart, I might have to like re-iron it all kind of thing, but that would do me for the casings, and then I might be able to still bind it. This reminds me of like a little tiny miniature asymmetrical vest going on. I keep thinking I'm making some kind of doll's outfit. Okay, so now I just need to cut out the flannel bits. And how do I want to do this? I have to make sure I do it the right way around. And what I kind of figure is, if I don't look back in 5 years from now and look at this and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did it that way, that's not good because it means I haven't grown. So being able to look back and see that I didn't do things right is a sign that I am actually improving, and that's not a bad thing. All right, so I've got those pieces cut out. This is gonna be cut a bit shorter because of the fold over here. Alrighty, and back we are at the ironing board. So I'm going to, these are like the biggest bits of scraps I have left from cutting this out. I'm hoping between all of them I have enough to make the little pieces that we'll have to wrap around here and here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to first of all do these side seams here and here, and on the outside same. Then I will trim that and stitch it onto here, or yeah, actually if I just tucked it under and then folded that, and I think that's called a fell stitch from what I am learning. And then I could just kind of stitch it along there. Then I will be working on those channels for the boning, and at the same time I will have to figure out exactly how I'm going to attach the little tie pieces. So I cut that bit of binding down the center, and then I re-ironed it here, and I kind of changed my mind. I was going to do 2 here But I think I'm just going to do one along where the seam is, so at the side of the finger. I think that's going to be enough there. And I used some of that scrap bits that I had to make the wrappy bit for around the finger here, because it needs to be sewn underneath that so that the end it doesn't show, to make it look more finished off. And I just did that by folding over this cloth with narrow seam allowance, ironing it, and I took a piece of tape. I had only like 1 inch, I think, wide, so I had to cut it down lengthwise. I also stitched through it a couple of times down the length to reinforce it and hold it all together. All right, so it is day 3, I think, of working on this wrist brace, and I am hoping to really get it done today. After doing all of this tiny hand stitching for 3 days, I am a little bit sore, so my hand might welcome being able to be in its pretty new brace. I am now going to be putting the boning into these 2 casing thingers. So I'm going to now take this binding that I had cut narrower that I used for the casings, and I am going to do the rest of it up and fold it so that it makes a really nice little narrow binding. And here you can see me fumbling with my fingers. They're starting to get rather hot and sore, and it's making it harder to get through that cloth. I'm using my thimble, and then I end up using needle nose pliers because you do what you have to do, basically. So, and without further ado, I have got the first little bit of binding done along the top of my wrist brace. And so yeah, I did it along the one side, and then I turned around and did the outside edge. It is difficult. My hands are starting to go a little bit numbish and very hot, and so keeping my thimble on and whatnot is getting to be a problem. So now I'm going to do that other part here that hasn't been finished yet. I'm not sure how far up I'm going to be able to do this, if I'm going to be able to cover it at all, or if I'll just have to bind it with stitching somehow after. And then just the bottom part, and then we can work on the eyelets. I'm getting excited. The struggle is real. Good morning. It is, what, day 3 or 4 of my project now, and I got this pretty much finished. I am happy to show you. I got the grommets in, and I ended up putting buttons instead of Velcro because the Velcro was just not doing it for me. And I tried the elastic string in there, but it was just so thick, and I couldn't have slipped my hand into it anyway without a lot more problems, so I just didn't bother with it for now. I used this thin shoelace
stuff, and it seems to work all right. The only thing is getting it on is a bit of a pain to do on my own. All right, so things that I would do differently next time. I made a bit of a mistake. You'll see when I put it on. This actually comes back down quite a lot lower than I thought. I kept trimming that because I thought it was coming up over the knuckle, but when I actually have it on, it's quite a bit lower than it was. So I should have probably just left it at that height and it would have been perfect. And then on this side, I'm going to just change where the button is because it keeps wanting to flip up over the top of here and not actually really hold it in to where it needs to be. And so I think if I put the button probably down here more. The other thing is, of course, like this isn't quite high enough now, so I might switch this out to a thinner piece at some point. But as far as it goes, it's actually really quite comfortable now. Success. I win. All right. I will probably end up having to find a new way of doing this up because obviously I'm not going to go through that rigmarole every day just to get this blessed thing on. However, this is a humongous improvement from my other one. The original, great big, thick, bulky, Velcro-y, getting stuck on other things, nasty monstrosity. I mean, look at the difference. Really? That, what? This, it still gives me a lot of wrist, like the same amount of wrist support. And then once I fix these two bits, it's going to hold my thumb and finger in perfectly fine. Actually, this is fine. And it gives as much support, I feel, as this one does. It can go away. So then the other thing that I was not super 100% happy with, I'm trying to turn my whole body. Okay, you can see here where it kind of keeps on trying to flip up over the top of the edge of the brace, and the boning, it doesn't hold the boning, which is kind of important for it to do, for it to actually brace much, because it'll just go out otherwise. So I'm thinking if I just move the button down here more, that it will hold it in place better. The things I take away from this, I made this palm section a little bit wider than I should have. On this side, this seems to have met nicely in the middle where I wanted it, but on this side I would probably take that in a bit here or both, because it did seem to put this edge piece a little bit too much this way, and it should be more on the side here, which means just I'd have to have brought that in a bit on this side. So when I make other ones to go with fancier outfits perhaps at some point, this would be more of my everyday bracing look. I will probably make those adjustments to the pattern so that it will fit just a little bit nicer. It is really, really quite comfortable. It is really light. It is lighter on than my other one, and thinner, more streamlined-y, and much prettier, and makes me happy. So thank you for watching and sitting through all of this if you managed to do it. And anyway, be sure to like and subscribe, as they say, and stay tuned for the next project. Alrighty, bye for now.